All right, we're back in another segment of Building Your Income Pipeline. I'm Omar, the entrepreneur. I've been with you all day. And we are here in this session where we're going to talk about getting your mind work right. And that's the mindset segment, personal development. But before we move any further, we have some special guests. We have Crystal Berger. Crystal is right there. You going to wait?
Hey guys.
Yes. Then we have Cindy Tawia. Did I get it right, Cindy?
Tawia. It's okay.
Cindy Tawia. All right, got it. All right, so let's start with you, Cindy. You know, who are you and what do you do? And then we'll follow up with you, Crystal, the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my name is Cindy Tawia. I'm the creator and founder of Diva by Cindy Hair Care Products. It's a natural alcohol-free hair care brand. I'm also a spiritual life coach, an author, and a philanthropist. And that's basically who I am in a nutshell. And I seek to help improve women and help them transition into business ownership and then transition from shelters to living productive lives.
Right. You froze for a minute, but you're back. All right.
Yeah.
Crystal, same thing.
Hey guys, so I am Crystal I. Berger, CB Inspires. A lot of people know me by that. I'm a journalist, an author, and a speaker. But more importantly, I'm a person who has been purposed to use content to inspire people to be more productive, to be more actionable, but also more importantly, to really be more on purpose with their life and their tasks. So that's what I do as a writer, host, content creator. And I'm Crystal CB Inspires. Yes.
I hear you. So it's great to have both of you on. I've known you all for a while, and we just 21, so we got a lot of years ahead of us. All right, we got a lot of years ahead of us. Yeah. So when I work with entrepreneurs, I always want to find out where their mind is. I mean, personal development is key. You know, if something happens in your business and it's not going right, how do you handle that? So this particular segment is all about how do you handle that? How do you get your mind right and consistently keep it right as you are building your business? So it's a round table. Let's have some talk about tools, some habits that people can begin to incorporate as they are building their own income pipeline. So any thoughts with that? Any tools or thoughts about personal development before we start getting into it? Anybody can jump in.
Absolutely. I always tell people that your personal development starts with your why. Whether it's your business, whether it's your personal relationships, whether it's your family, it is your why. So, and I told them on Sunday, I hosted a workshop there, and I said, if you don't figure out your why, you will always be wondering why.
And say that again. Ho, 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 ho. You can't say that fast and then move on to something else.
If you don't figure out your why, you will always be wondering why.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Absolutely. And so I always tell people, well, why are you doing the work that you're doing? Like, you know, what is the purpose behind it? What is the intention? You know, is it just to make money? Is it to help your community? Is it to help build a brand? But also, you know, just really knowing your why is so critical to everything in life. And so for me, I think it just starts there and it trickles down.
So understanding your why. Now, I want to come back to that, but Cindy, if you want to add something.
Yes. I always boil down with me, personal development boils down to how you're growing. Are you growing? And it's not just physically growing or mentally growing. Spiritually, are you growing? Because a lot of people are out of alignment with what it is that they're doing. They don't take time to reset. So even when I've had a busy, hectic day, I have to take time to sit and meditate, you know, and people say meditation, to them it's a woo-woo language. Well, we all, you know, sometimes people say, well, I pray. Okay, you pray. Yes, good. Prayer, talking to God, meditation is listening. You have to be silent so you can get download, so that you don't move in a disorganized, chaotic manner. When you reset and you sit inwards, that's when you can get an idea and be more strategic in your planning, and you're not just rapidly, randomly moving in every which way direction. So you have to take time to reset, meditate, and be silent. Just be silent, be still, so you can get the information you need for your next move. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. So is there a special way that people should do that? Reset, meditate? Because that's
meditation.
Meditation.
They don't know what it is. It's sitting in silence means I need to
So,
be
like
alone with
this?
myself.
Like this?
You can sit in silence like that. You can sit cross-legged. You can even go on YouTube and download a meditation CD, which is a guided form of meditation. It'll sit there with you for 3 to 5 minutes while it allows you to breathe so you can reset.
About the breathing,
But
yeah.
But what we're doing was so hurried and harried
Yeah.
that we're not sitting there, and we're chaotic in giving what we need. If we would just sit and set a timer, say for the next 10 minutes, I'm not going to get up. I'm just going to sit here. No television, no radio, no external noise, just sit. And they're afraid to be
cell
with their
phone.
thoughts. No cell phone. People are afraid to be with their thoughts. But when you sit there, you can creatively create with your creator. If you're not in silence, you cannot create. You need that silence. That's why writers, painters, artists are great at creating, because they take time to sit so they can create.
Absolutely. And I'll piggyback on what Cindy said. I mean, just being able to sit there and gain that clarity. For me, I realized when I would pray, I was always asking and talking and never getting the download, like Cindy said. And when I went and I heard someone speak once, and they said, ask for 5 minutes, but then sit there for the next 45 minutes and listen and receive. And 45 minutes, it may seem like a long time to a lot of people, but throughout your day, it's really no time. But the information that I would receive in that 45 minutes of silence would be so clear that I wouldn't even have to go seek counsel from anybody else, or it would be so precise as far as, just trying to bring out those creative juices that may have been stunted by all of the background noise. So I'm totally in agreement. And even in finding your purpose. Sometimes people can't find their purpose or their why because they're always moving. They're always doing this. The jack of all trades, the master of none. And so if you take a moment to just really sit and say, okay, well, let me just hear, what things do I do well? What things did I receive compliments on? And just sit in that stillness, you'll get a lot of revelation.
Yeah.
So that,
I love it. We're getting deep now. Can we go deeper?
Well, we're about to go deeper, so I want to know more about this why. So is there a certain formula to the why?
Well, for me, I always encourage people to look at their strengths, talents, abilities, and gifts, right? Strengths, talents, abilities, and gifts. That's one piece of it. And then also, too, think about the things that lit you up when you were very young, as early as 5 or 7 or 10 years old. And you'll start to see a common thread that kind of weaves together your why. So for me, when I was a little girl, there were 3 places I used to love to be that I still think about and I smile so radiantly. We would be in the kitchen with my grandmother in Cherry Hill, right? Because she was always making us feel good in the kitchen, comforting us in some way. I used to sit in my bedroom and look out the window and journal for hours and hours and hours. Like I could write plays, stories, poems. It was just easy for me. And then the third place that I used to love to be as a child was on stage. I used to do this program at the School for the Arts, Super Saturdays. And I loved how my creative expression could bring out the emotions in people, or how my presence could really, really help folks in their day. And so for me, I realized in this process of identifying my why, it was just tying those things together. Well, Crystal, if you love to write, if you love to create, and in that process, you want to help people and you want to use your presence to impact them, like the common denominator was journalism. And so that's kind of how you can really tap into it, looking at those strengths, gifts, abilities, and talents, and then saying to yourself, well, what about me when I was young really lit me up? Because sometimes life gets in the way and it draws you away from the things that you're innately great at. It's like somebody will say, I knew I was a great writer, but my mom would say, you need to be a doctor because it was predictable, right? Writers didn't make any money, But I struggled in math and I struggled in science, but I love to write. I always was a great orator. And so just really tapping into those things as young as a child and saying, okay, making a list, itemize the things you did well that lit you up. And then, like I said, strengths, talents, gifts, and abilities, and you'll get to your why that way.
I love that. That's as people begin to figure out, their why, like you indicated, and if something does happen in their business, they can now go back to, the why and that formula that you use to kind of uplift themselves. And that's important. So just think about, time management. I mean, your thoughts about time management. 'Cause I often hear that with entrepreneurs and say, well, I don't have time to do what you're saying, Crystal, the why, or Cindy, I don't have time to do meditation. But a lot of people that I know, they use their time wisely. So time as it relates to time management, as it relates to personal development. Thoughts on that?
Well, now you have to, or what I actually do is I put the people or things that occupy my time into two categories: assets and liabilities.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
I can't wait to hear this.
Is this conversation? Yes.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
Is this conversation an asset or is it a liability in my business?
Gotcha.
Am I speaking with this person to help empower, heal, inspire, or am I speaking to them and are they draining me, taking away from? So if they're taking away from, typically within a minute or so, 60 seconds, I will know and I'll cut the conversation short. So that's one of the things, because a lot of people say they don't have time for personal development, but they'll have time to get on Facebook. They'll have time to talk with friends. They'll have time to gossip. They'll have time to shop. They have time for everything else. But what should be the essence of who you are is developing and growing and improving yourself so you can attract and vibrate at a higher frequency than what you are. So I say all this to say that if you're going to be on Facebook, what I typically do is, yes, I have a social media manager, but on my personal page, I will spend 30 to 45 minutes posting, commenting, sharing, and then get off. And I do that in the morning after I've meditated. I'll get all that done. And then I don't check it again till maybe evening if in case somebody has sent me a message or something. And in between my day, if I go somewhere and I'm kind of like rushed and whatnot, I'll sit in my car and then pause that reset button and put some music on. I will put relaxation music on and say, okay, I need 15 minutes and I'll deep breathe. And I'm going to share with you all how we breathe normally. We are really going because we're in survival mode. So we're really not breathing. And that ends up sending the blood. The blood is not really going to our heart, to our brain to effectively help us. What you need to do is when you breathe, next time you are in a panic situation and you breathe, you take a deep breath in, and then when you blow it out, visualize or imagine yourself going down an elevator. So you know the elevator drops down. Okay, now drop down like an elevator, like elevator dropping down.
I'm actually doing it, y'all.
Yeah. Okay. So you're gonna take another deep breath in. Y'all gonna take a deep breath in and then drop down like you down.
Okay.
There we go. You notice that kind of shifted a little bit. So when you drop down, you know how the elevator kind of, you do that? That kind of helps settle everything. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you feel, you have a little bit more clarity. So in the busyness of your day, if you can take a few minutes or so to do that, you'll reset in order to keep going.
Another thing on time management, just to speak on that. So I am not a full-time entrepreneur. So I am a journalist that works in a newsroom. I get in the newsroom at 4 a.m., right? 4 a.m. Wow. And then I have my day and I'm usually off by 1 p.m. And then by the time I come home, I've had the struggle of having to figure out, like what Cindy just spoke about, recentering my energy, one thing, because I'm a little drained from the beginning of my day, which has been a full 8-hour work shift. But then coming home to work my business and finding out, well, what actually works for Crystal? And I think a lot of times people aren't still enough to really say to themselves, well, what is going to work for me if I'm moonlighting on my business, you know? And so what I had to really do was I had to really come and budget my time. Like, it was critical for me to budget my time, meaning I would have my gym bag packed in my trunk. So as soon as I leave from work, I would go straight to the gym. I would get that done within an hour. I would come in the house. I would prep my dinner, take a couple of minutes to just kind of wind down. And then I would give myself and allocate an additional 2 to 3 hours to my business that I would dedicate. But it was a very regimented schedule that I had to implement, because I realized that because so much of the beginning of my day was consumed with someone else's vision, right? And someone else's creativity and someone else's bottom line, that by the time I got to my business, I was halfway doing my business. And so I had to figure out what was going to work for me to rejuvenate me. I couldn't just come straight home from work and then get right into my business. No, I needed to get all of that corporate America stuff out of me. You know, get that out, you know, work out, get my mind right, you know, do some things in the house that I love. Like I said, I love being in the kitchen. And, you know, I would come and prep my food, and then I would be ready to jump into my business. Because if not, my creativity would be stunted. Just all these different distractions would come in the way of me actually effectively doing the work. So, and I would find myself sitting there for 4, 5, and 6 hours being unproductive versus 2 to 3 hours and being extremely productive. So you really have to figure out, what do you need to do to detox your day, and then figure out what kind of schedule you want to have moving forward.
Detox your day, yes.
I love that. Yeah. And that goes, and you know, I'm gonna throw in entrepreneurs, those who are working full time, you know, and those who may have part-time side gigs as well, you know, jumping from one side gig to another. And I mean, that can really take you off of your energy. You know, I'm an energy type of person. I like positive energy. You know, if I'm doing a workshop and people come in, I'm tired, or I don't want let's recalibrate, you know. So so I like that. Detox your day.
Your day.
Yes. That's like a book. Detox.
That's
a workshop.
That's right.
We could do a detox your day workshop, guys. Listen.
Yes. Community. Absolutely. So speaking about energy, you know, and I think, Cindy, you mentioned how you put. I'm gonna start doing this. People already think that something wrong with me, putting people in assets and liabilities. You know, that energy is a lot. You know, if you're going into a meeting and if your energy is negative, it's going to carry on throughout the meeting. You know, you may not mean anything around it, but once you get in there, it's like, man, you know, I'm gonna be honest. I was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, somebody was saying that, oh my, you need to do this, you need to do this. So I'm already going into the meeting like, man, I'm not going to participate at all. And guess what? I didn't participate at all. And afterwards, I'm talking to, you know, the person who was convening, not she was convening, but she was wanting to work with the organization. And it turned out to be, you know what, we're on the same page. And my apologies. You know, I mean, my energy wasn't right. And you know, I'm always saying to people, bring some positive energy to me.
Yes.
And, you know, and sometimes, you know, when you know, exert that negative energy, you'll see it and you'll feel it. So energy is all about, you know, that personal development too. Yeah,
it is. I call, you know, speak life, breathe life into situations. When I'm vending or selling product, I always tell people, I brag on myself, I'm a salesperson, yes.
He is, yeah.
But because if you go in with high energy, hi, how you doing? Hi, oh, I'm so excited. You know, with that excitement and love and compassion and warmth, guess what? You sell without selling. You connect without having to make the effort. And everybody wants to be around light. They want to be around something positive. So it's so important to kind of shift our minds. After all, you know, everybody has their good days, their bad days, but you can't let that darkness overtake or dim your light or dim the light of others. You have to go out there and just radiate it.
Yeah.
You know, bring your A game on. When you're especially with business owners, bring your A game on, or you're positive. It's not that you're faking or you're feigning, but if you're reading positive affirmations or you're speaking positive affirmations into your life every day, you become what you speak. And what you speak is what you become. And in so doing, you're able to attract higher and greater into your life. So we really have to look at the energy that we're putting out there and the energy that we are attaching yourself, and pay attention to it as well. Because I mentioned again that draining effect. You know, the people that will call you and all you hear the list of problems and excuses. Well, I can't deposit excuses in the bank.
Yeah.
I cannot deposit them, you know.
Yeah.
So once again, you're a liability to me. You're not an asset. And you're not coming in with a high energy, positive energy to breathe life into what it is, then, you know, you have to step aside. So we have to look at that as part of our personal development. Affirmations are good. Also, you know, just visualizing yourself as that positive being that you are, radiating a lot of light is very, very essential.
Absolutely.
And I also believe too that, you know, we have to be okay with making others uncomfortable. Meaning, a lot of times people may not receive your light well, you know, and then you retract or dim your light. Or you have someone that comes to you with negative energy. It's okay for you to check that in a positive way, because that's your energy. You know, and I always am very comfortable with telling people, hey, I'm not doing that today. You know, and whether that makes you uncomfortable or not, that's not my issue. You know, because I absorb, I'm an absorber of energy, right? Like, and my mother says it all the time. And so I had to be very careful of that, you know, for myself. And so I have gotten to the place where, you know, on top of the self-awareness stuff, when you've worked on yourself enough, you have to be confident to know that you are the owner of your energy. And if someone wants to rob you of that energy, it is okay to check that in a positive and a polite way, you know. And you can, and it's a variety of ways you can do it. You know, it doesn't mean you have to be combative or aggressive. You can easily just, you know, detract it. So if someone's giving you negative, you give them positive, you know, until they either walk away or they then become positive, right? Or it's okay to say, you know, because we all have rough days and we all have our moments. It's okay to acknowledge someone's pain or their hurt, but say, hey, let's move forward from this, because these are the outcomes that we came for. And so I just encourage people to be okay and comfortable with making others uncomfortable in that space.
I love that. I love that. All right,
and that's beautiful, Crystal, because you're protecting yourself. And you are not being aggressive, but assertive. And that is also important for personal development, to own and speak your truth as to what you will and will not tolerate.
That's it. Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
Right. All right, so let's jump in with the time we have remaining. Any books, any audio books, or any other tools that people can begin to acquire, so that as they're looking to sit still, they're looking at get their energy right, and they're looking to do business. Are there any skills, or are there actually skills? Let me add skills on there too. Skills, books, YouTube, audio, anything that you all want to offer?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
So shameless.
Shameless plug. Go ahead, Cindy. You do it first. I'm going to follow. Go ahead.
Okay, shameless plug.
Hey, come on.
They can check out Metamorphosis, Finding Your Passion, Finding Your Purpose, Finding You, authored by Cindy Talia.
Now you're going to have to spell that. Spell that.
Metamorphosis.
Come on now.
META.
There we go. Yes.
MORPHOSIS.
All right. And one more time.
Finding Your Passion.
There you go. Go ahead.
Finding Your Purpose. Finding You. The letter U, which can also be universal.
Look at you.
Yes.
Yes, Cindy.
And that's on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and divabycindy.com. So they can check that out. And there's another book. It's called Unstoppable by Cynthia Kersey. Not by me, but it's another Cynthia. It's called Unstoppable. And it gives you a journey of all the major entrepreneurs, you know, like the story of McDonald's, KFC, and how they overcame adversity to be successful. So it's called Unstoppable. I recommend reading that too.
Okay, good deal.
So I have a multitude of resources that I will definitely mention. So the first thing is I want folks to go to cbinspires.com. I have a program there called 30 Days to an Extraordinary Life. And it's all about just really being actionable and intentional about your life and making it not just ordinary, but extraordinary. And with that resource, I have 30 days of affirmations that you can wake up and say. You get to hear this voice that goes out to 1,300 stations nationwide on there. It also has some other audio, podcast, video as well. And you get that whole resource at cbinspires.com. I also have my book, Be Extraordinary, which is a very interactive book. You can get that on Amazon. But I have a few other books because I am an avid reader over time, and just working as a journalist, I've been able to read a lot of books from people that actually come into the newsroom. And so one of my favorite interviews, and I've interviewed him 3 times, John C. Maxwell has a book called Intentional Living, because it's so important for us to be intentional, not just as entrepreneurs, but as spouses, as friends, as business owners, as workers, just intentional living. And it really talks about how you don't get anywhere by being unintentional, right? And it talks about the language that we use. I'm trying to do this. No, you don't try. Either you do it. You know, I should do this. No, did you or didn't you? And so Intentional Living is a great, great resource. Another book that I love is written by my former mentor. And people have controversies of him, whatever. But anyway, it's called You Are the Message. You Are the Message. And though it's a book written for journalists and talent in the news business, it's really about how you show up, like what Cindy was just talking about, how you show up and how people receive you, how you can sell without selling based upon your presence. So You Are the Message is a transformational book. And another book I can't forget, Speak Up. I actually am a contributor and author to that book. So what's so great about Speak Up is it's written for people who want to get into the speaking business, but it truly is for entrepreneurs, because every contributor to the book, we actually speak on our area of expertise. So for me, I teach people how, in the book, I teach them in my chapter how to do a national network press release and how to pitch to media. And so this is a resource for entrepreneurs. And so I would recommend Speak Up as well, because every single chapter is a teachable moment. And it tells you how to create funnels. I mean, and everybody who speaks in the book, every chapter is someone who has been in their field for 10 to 20 years, and they really have been effective in their marketplace. And so that would be my last resource that I would say to get. But I think the most important resource, Cindy and Omar, is you, right?
That's right.
You are your most important resource.
That's right.
Like, we oftentimes look outside of ourselves for things that we possess within. And so I encourage people, like Cindy said earlier, take a minute to be still. See what you possess within to get the results that you need, because we can always have an excuse of why we cannot. But if we start to really focus on downloading the things, that the assets that we do have within ourselves, then we can build on those resources and those assets, you know. And so you are your biggest resource. Who do you know, right? What skills and talents do you possess? What things do you do really well? Start there first, and then find supplemental materials to help perfect those areas of you.
Oh, wow. I love that.
That is awesome. That is powerful.
Yeah.
Yes. You have it inside.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So let me throw some out as well. Les Brown, you know, when I need to get super motivated, Les Brown is one of the guys that I listen to on YouTube or on audio. Jim Rohn has this. I like parables. So I didn't know he had this parable until I was flipping through audio. It's audio? Yeah, audio. So it's called The 12 Pillars, and it really focuses on everything that we're talking about, you know, and much more. So I definitely listen to Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins. I mean, I remember as a student, you know, finding out who he was. And I'm like, man, I need to really kind of listen to this because this could help me along the way as I'm building my. At that time, I was going to be an accountant, y'all. Building my career as an accountant, So, I mean, those are some of the ones. Lisa Nichols, I mean, her story is just incredible. So
Powerful,
definitely
yeah.
listen to her. Meg Robbins, The 5 Second Rule.
Yep.
So again, these are just some of the tools that I use to kind of to stay motivated because sometimes the motivator needs to be motivated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's TED Talks. I listen to TED Talks as well.
It's another one that when you said that, Cindy Trim has a book called
Oh, yeah,
Commanding
Your
Your Morning.
morning.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that book is so powerful because it's how you set the tone for your entire day. I love it. It's bite sized. You can put it in your purse, your back pocket, and go through your day. But it's really about setting the tone for your day. And I think one thing that's key to what everybody on here is saying: don't just get your inspiration or motivation or whatever from one source. Try to combine your resources. Read if you can't read a whole book,
Yes.
that's fine. Listen to some stuff sometimes. Write and journal some
Audio.
things exactly. But try to have it so you can really be feeding yourself in some way every single day, and it doesn't have to be the traditional means of obtaining information.
Absolutely. All right. Any final thoughts? Any final thoughts, ladies?
Visualization is one of the things I forgot to mention, but as you said, meditate, you can start visualizing what you want and begin to create a better life for yourself. And visualization mainly just the daydream effect. When we were young and we were children, if a child was caught daydreaming, they were admonished for it.
Yeah.
But what people don't realize is daydreaming or visualizing and seeing your life as you would like it to be also helps you manifest where you desire to go. Yes.
Absolutely.
I think my final thought, and it's something that has taken me a very long time to get to this place, y'all, is that gratitude. Gratitude in your whole journey is so critical to you feeling inspired, to you feeling purposeful. I think about the seasons of my life when I had absolutely nothing, the times when I was coming to Briefcase Radio with Brother Omar Muhammad and trying to start my journalism career and being grateful for those moments because those moments perfect the future. Like those moments make you who you are. And so a lot of times we are so caught up in what the bottom line looks like throughout our day, especially as entrepreneurs, business owners, and results-driven people. But to take a moment to be grateful for the things that you have accomplished. Look at all the things that you've done. If you've written a book, if you started an organization, if you just help someone in your community buy your business or service or product, being in that spirit of gratitude will sustain you and your business over time. Because a lot of times we get so caught up in that lack that we forget about all of the wins that we've had. And so I just want to encourage people in 2020 to really just start in a space of gratitude and itemizing the goodness in your life. And you'll see positive results. And that's a key piece of the self-awareness that's needed to really be a successful entrepreneur.
Wow. I mean, great tools, nuggets. I really appreciate it. It's good to reconnect with both of you. Both of you have helped me out in my career and work that I do to empower all type of entrepreneurs. So thank you for coming on board. Really appreciate it. So one of the things that we're going to have for everybody is a directory of everybody who's speaking on here. And you'll get an opportunity to have Cindy and Crystal's information as well. So as you continue this journey, we have many more segments to come up. Keep an open mind, keep your mind right. Sit still sometime so that you can go out there, as I always say, improve and progress. We'll see you next time. Peace. All right.